Call to order the regular meeting of the River Falls Board of Education. This meeting has been properly notified, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will point out that Board Member Mike Miller is with us remotely. He is in this spot right here on the phone. Do we have any visitors or delegations who would like to address the board this evening? All right. I don't see a person from the Lions Club, so we are going to move right into informational items. And at this point, we have the superintendent's report.
All right, I have a few items. One item that's not in my presentation is just recognizing that we aren't doing the second reading of the Title IX policies. So we talked about them at the July meeting. In that, we discussed that there was some lawsuits involving the Department of Education that the district wasn't enjoined in, and in that period of time, they have now become enjoined in. And then there's been a Supreme Court ruling on it as well. So as we talked about at that time, it just makes sense for us to pause the reading until we have clarity from the federal government about these regulations. So just a couple of clarifications. While we pause, it doesn't prevent, we can't lose federal funding. So the federal government can't threaten the school district to pull funding because we've paused. And it also doesn't prevent legal action brought by a student who believe they've been against the district if they've believed they've been discriminated against in the name of Title IX. So in other words, the district still is held to those discrimination expectations that we have in policy now. There's no changes there. So in the meantime, we'll rely on our current policy, which we're familiar with, 411.11 and 411.11 rule, and our other non-discrimination policies, which we're confident align to current Wisconsin case law. So that's the first piece. And then my report. So one thing I wanted to touch on was the 24-25 school year prep. So starting last week, we've had start of the year trainings taking place. The first trainings, kind of the first sign of the school year starting, is we do a bus driver training and a substitute teacher training. And those trainings help prepare those groups of people for the start of the year. I wanted to recognize Nate for organizing them, but Nate knows he's a little bit of a facilitator. So for the bus drivers, we had Corey Pahacek, who's a mechanic, who did a presentation. Nell Henry, who's a longtime bus driver, did a presentation. Lynette and Todd shared some information about the new transportation center. So the feedback that we got was really positive from the bus drivers because they liked that the trainings were from people that are down there and understand the work that they do. Then the next day, we had about 30 bus drivers participate. Then the next day, we had substitute teacher training. We had about 50 of our substitute teachers and paraprofessionals participate. We had a few different trainings related to the technology that we use, specifically what we used to call smart boards. Now they're Promethean boards, essentially interactive boards that allow instruction to take place. And just like anything, each of them has a few unique components to it, and one big stressor for a substitute teacher is coming in and knowing how to work that information. So this was a nice time for them to have some information on how to do that. And our tech department really helped with that. So Ron Francis and Chris Geiser were there to do that presentation. So then now this week, we'll do new teacher orientation. And new teacher orientation is 2 days full of lots of information. We throw a lot at them. I just wanted to recognize some of the community partners that help us with new teacher orientation and help our new teachers become more welcomed into our community. The River Falls Chamber of Commerce does a breakfast that's on Wednesday. It's a wonderful opportunity for lots of different community members to meet teachers. Members of the chamber donate items, so the swag bag that they get of River Falls items is actually pretty amazing. It's pretty fun to see what they put together every year. In addition, we have restaurants that make their restaurants available or help us with catering. That includes Junior's, Table on Main, Mariachi Loco, and then our local food service department led by Pat Knox does a great job. So those always a very exciting couple of days, and we always rely on teacher feedback to how we plan that for the upcoming year. And then next week, starting with August 26th, we have 4 days of our back to school in service, and there's really 3 big components to that. There's district-wide trainings, and then there's school trainings, and then there's time for teachers to prepare in their classrooms. And one of the big things that they prepare for are open houses, which are next week as well. So we have a elementary open house, a middle and high school open house, and that's always a key indicator that the year is right around the corner. So we're excited for the preparation and excited for a good 24-25 school year. Another item that I want to touch on was our school board student representative. We will have a school board student representative again this year. I linked in there in the heading is an article about kind of the whys of why would you have a student representative on your school board. And so a couple clarifications. It's a 1-year term. It's open to high school students, so that's either River Falls High School or the Charter Academy. And the goals really are around helping that student develop and have an opportunity for leadership and insight into what public service looks like. Help them cultivate an understanding of what a school board is. Have conversations about school board meetings, the school board agenda with Kit and myself, as well as board members. And then the other big piece is it helps our board have a student perspective during school board meetings. And one thing we're kind of committed to is making sure that we're at appropriate times including them in the conversation. And we know, I was just gonna say, and we know that they don't represent the entire student body, but it's nice to have them there.
I was wondering, last year we had 2 students here. Do we always have 2?
So the normal practice, do a little research on this. The normal practice is to have 1 primary and 1 backup. And I think in talking with the pair last year, it just made sense to kind of have them be 50-50, but ideally it would be a primary person, and then if they can't make it, have that alternate come.
Okay. So. Yeah, and I crossed paths with Lily the other day, Lily Ersman, I think her name was. Yep. And she's taking a year before she goes on to school, and she's going to be working at Greenwood.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There you go.
As a para.
As a para.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. And so Kit and I will work together to start the recruitment, and it makes sense to do that once the year starts. And the last piece, I just wanted to give an update on the School Forest Pavilion. I know that Jamie, when he was still here, provided regular updates on the School Forest. And what I wanted to highlight today is that the Rotary is providing the funding for the construction of a pavilion, concrete pad, and related site work at the forest. And so that pavilion, that's what we're calling it, is 50 feet by 20 feet by 14 feet. And that's the easement that we have on that land. That's the max size that we can have. And so the picture there, not the most detailed, but it gives you just a concept of what it's going to look like. And then underneath it, there'll be space for picnic tables that we already have there. And it'll fit right in location-wise. If you're familiar with the area, it's where the prairie is. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if people are quite sure. But double F there is that road on the bottom, and there's the long road that we've now been able to extend into that area with a turnaround, so buses can get there. And so that open space is the prairie. And if you have a chance to see it, it's pretty amazing of late of what that prairie looks like compared to what it looks like in this Google map picture. There's a trail, and then it connects to all the other forest trails. And that's the location of where we would have the pavilion, and it will be a nice addition to us having instruction out there for students. That is my update.
Good, thank you very much. So, that is perfect timing, Rose. Would you like to be able to address the board? Sure. Okay. We'll let you catch your breath.
You won't have somebody accept it. You bet. Nate is our picture person.
Yes.
Does someone want to accept it? Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you want to speak at the mic?
You can tell us about it.
Yeah.
Do a picture.
Is the mic on?
You might need to be turned on.
So on behalf of the River Falls Lions Club, which I'm the president of, I would like to present a 3,000. Okay, on behalf of the River Falls Lions Club, which I'm the president of, I would like to
present a $3,000 check to be used for mental health needs of the high school students. This money was raised through the River Falls Garden Tour, which was the first annual event, and we're planning on doing it again next year.
Thank you very much for supporting our students and recognizing how important mental health is. Thank you.
Serious, get a
Yeah,
smile.
get a. Okay, wait, one more this way. Okay, gotcha.
Lynette, at first, I thought that was going to be a big check, like one of those big, I was excited. Yeah, I thought that'd be kind of fun for watch you try to
It's a pretty big
catch
check.
that check. But
Mike, I think, is also a Lions.
Yeah.
A Lion.
just want to say, on behalf of the district and representing the district, we're very appreciative. These types of events, they're not one-hit deals. There's a lot of planning and practice and work from all of the Lions to execute that. And the fact that you thought of the school district to donate to is, it's humbling, and we know we'll put that to good work.
Yeah.
It's very important, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here tonight. All right, we are now going to move on to action items, and before the board, we have minutes from the July 22nd regular Board of Education meeting. We have bills that have been submitted for payment, as well as employment recommendations. So at this point, is there a motion to approve minutes, bills, and employment as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Allison. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So I actually think, according to board policy, when we have a remote, we have to do a roll call. So, Monica? Aye. Bo?
Aye.
Allison? Alan?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And I'm saying aye, so we have passed this 6-0. Thank you. All right, the Personnel Committee met on August 12th, and at that meeting, we received a certified staffing update. We also were able to learn about the staff onboarding and orientation process, which was helpful. Our new Director of Human Resources and Leadership Development, Nate Sherman, outlined his goals, which clearly impact the district. And we also approved and recommend that the board approve revisions to the district office and buildings and ground program assistant job descriptions. And then finally, we returned to policy 537, related to staff development. So it was a good meeting. We spent a fair amount of time talking about Nate's goals, which was helpful. It gave us some insight into his plans. And at this point, is there a motion to approve the district office buildings and grounds program assistant job description? Thank you, Bo. Thank you, Allison. Nate, do you want to say anything about that first?
Not too much, minor changes, just the alignment of duties in our central office staff related to this position, but also other positions that have taken on some of those duties, and an update to program assistant status, which aligns with other moves that we've made over the past several months.
Okay. Any questions or comments? I will do a roll call. I'll start with you, Mike.
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Bo?
Aye.
Monica? Aye. The motion is carried at 6-0. All right, we also have the first reading of a revised School Board Policy 537 related to staff development. You're able to see that there were pretty minor adjustments to this job proposal. Do you want to say anything about that?
Just really quickly, this policy has existed, so this is part of our updating of all of our policies to try and make sure that we're on track, that we don't get stuck with policies that are 15, 17 years old. But also, this policy is encouraged to show our collective support for professional development, both inside and outside of the school, and encourages principals to promote that, and also to set aside budget, and to make sure as a district that we're making sure that we have the means to support the continued growth of all of our teachers through PD,
Aligned to our goals.
aligned to our goals and mission and values. You bet.
Thank you. Is there a motion, please? So moved. Thank you, Monica.
Second.
Thank you, Ellen. Questions or comments?
I want to make a comment first off to thank Nate for updating this. And part of our conversation that night, just to reflect for anyone who wasn't there, we had a really good conversation about professional development, but also kind of this connects back to that certified staffing report. We had a really good conversation. We really watch closely, and I appreciate Dave and Nate's ability to produce statistics for us about how many retirements, how many resignations we get, the reasons for them, is it unusual year or up, down, whatever. And we monitor very closely the people who leave the district, why they're leaving the district. And I thought that was a very good conversation and very helpful for us, just to make us feel better about the kinds of things we're doing. And I think it ties to this staff development thing, which we think is very important, professional development for our staff. So,
It's one of the important ways that we support them in their work.
yes.
All right, roll call. Ellen, I'll start with you this time.
Aye.
Allison? Bo?
Aye.
Monica?
Aye.
I'm saying aye. Mike?
Aye.
All right, the motion is carried. Thank you. All right. Mark, would you like to walk us through? What? Oh, I'm sorry. I've gotten ahead of, I wrote it in the wrong place here.
It's okay, it would be quick.
So finance and facilities, since Mike is gone, do you want to give the update?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Sorry.
So one of the items there that we had on the agenda for the committee meeting last week was postponed. That was the committee goals, so stay tuned for those at a future committee meeting. But what we did do was go through this presentation, which is an update on our capital projects planning. So we had our team members from Bray and Kraus Anderson present. We'll just breeze through this briefly. This is linked in both the finance meeting and tonight's board meeting agenda for anyone that wants to look at it a little bit more. So those are our team members. We can scoot to a timeline. Difficult to read on here, but if you access this, individually, you'll be able to see. One item to note is that the tennis courts at the high school, those have gone out for bid already. We expect those bids back sometime next week. So looking forward to see where those come in. That project will begin soon in order to get our student athletes back on those courts as soon as possible. Most of the work, as you can see from the schedule, is going to happen next summer, 2025. And then going into 2026, we're going to be finishing up the HVAC work at the middle school. So a quick timeline of our projects. And then move on to the high school edition. Right now, this is the site plan. So if you're looking, this is the back, what we would call the back side of the high school where the new addition will be. The plan right now is to disrupt as little as possible that turnaround, that parent pickup and drop off area. So we think we can do that without too much disruption in the pickup and the sidewalk around there. We can keep scrolling through this. Jump in, Dave, if you have anything else.
I was just
add.
going to say, if you go back to that one picture, if you want a picture where the addition's going to go, it's where those beautiful big Christmas trees are.
Yeah.
We're going to take those out. That's kind of where it's going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know they're not Christmas trees, but that's what I think. Every time I go.
Yeah, I think somebody said we could maybe see if they can go to Rockefeller Square.
Yeah, I think might not be that bit. They might not be that beautiful.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
So then looking at a little bit more detailed in the site plan. So after much discussion and input and feedback with our users of this space, so coaches, community ed, Phi-Ed teachers, when we discuss the multi-purpose space, the most favorable option was to create a two-story option. So this is the first level of the two-story, which will be, on here I believe it's labeled the wrestling room. Essentially, it's a room with mats down so that it can be used for wrestling, certainly during their season. The red is all new construction. The blue is remodel. So one of the things that came out of a lot of discussion is the blue is right now our current athletic trainer space. So it was originally created as a storage room, and it's not ideal for having athletes in there to see the athletic trainer. So we're going to flip that back to storage and an office for our non-staff coaches so that they have a place to drop things when they're, working. And then the training room, the athletic training room, will actually be in another space in the new construction area. So that'll be a great opportunity to make that space more usable for students and student athletes. Not much more to say about that. So that's first level. Then second level, so right up above that, the new construction is what we call the multi-purpose space, or what will have turf. And you'll see some renderings of that as we move along here. And then the blue, one of the spaces is our current weight room, and the other space is our current, what we call the green room. And so there are some windows there. They will be knocked out so that there are actually doorways and pathways to create sort of one big weight room space. So expanding that as well. Here's some quick very early renderings. This would be the first floor where the mats would be down. And our second floor is just to give you an idea of what that second floor turf space would be like. And that's about just over 4,300 square feet. And again, just to the left, you can see, so the new space will also have sort of like garage doors, for lack of a better term, that will connect to what will now be the weight room. But also they could be closed off, so they could be two separate spaces, and there will be two separate entrances to each of those spaces. And again, just another look of that. Tennis site plan. It's not a very exciting drawing. However, the tennis courts will be essentially in the same place that they are now, expanding the footprint just slightly because, as this design shows, there will be a viewing area down the middle. So we'll allow for spectators to not have to look through 4 different courts to see who's playing, way on the other side. So there'll be a nice viewing area with some small bleachers through there for viewing. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty much what we have. So that's tennis. And then we move to the transportation center. So we are keeping all of the current buildings that we have that are storing our buses currently. The space for the new building will be where the house currently stands. That will come down next week, I believe, will be scheduled for demolition. So that's showing you where on the site that new building will be. Again, 2-story volume of this building. On the left is the maintenance bays. So height-wise, those will take up obviously 2 stories. On the right-hand side is the office spaces. So we've got space for our current transportation director, assistant director, and then also our buildings and grounds team will be coming over there. Right now, they're in that building across the street, and so like our maintenance people are, sort of pushing their tools and things aside so that they can put a laptop up and do work and then switching out. So giving them an actual workspace will be one of these rooms as well. And then a nice training room, conference room, break room area for that staff and also our bus drivers. So that's first floor, and then second floor above the office areas is just part storage and mechanical room. And couple of quick renderings, essentially the training or break room space, and then this would be the workroom for the buildings and grounds people. Budgets, so referendum budget, total budget was $28 million. Right now, our transportation center and high school, we are running over budget as the plans are showing right now compared to what these numbers are. However, we believe that there are some projects, some larger projects that were originally listed in the plan specifically for fire suppression. So the middle school, for example, has a lot of HVAC work scheduled, and originally we were thinking that that would trigger the need to put in all fire suppression or sprinklers, if you will. And what we're hearing now from the state is that that's actually not necessary. So that's going to free up about $1.4 million of our $28 million in this budget. So gives us some opportunities with that. Will certainly help where things are at right now. Did you want to add something?
No, just that we will be on budget, and until the bidding takes place, these are estimates. We think they're good estimates because
Correct.
KA provides them, but until those bids come through, then we'll have to react to them. But we will be on budget.
Yes, definitely. That's it. So that was the update from last week. We will continue to do these updates regularly. We will have a website that will provide updates. We'll do the regular monthly updates of these projects at our finance and facilities meeting, also at the board meeting, and then providing those updates to the public as well on our site. So want to make sure our communication is top-notch.
Well, especially because, as we said at the meeting last week, our community has entrusted to us a significant amount of money to be able to do these upgrades and to make the space workable for students. So we want to keep them informed so that they understand and know that we're being good stewards of those dollars, and also to get them excited for these new places in our district. Alan, did you want to talk?
Just a couple comments about that. One of I really appreciated the discussion and the presentation that they made the other night at this. I was real impressed with the architect. I like the way in which they communicated it and laid it out. I think there's some. I came in with it with some confidence, because obviously we want to make sure in this process that we're doing what we told the voters we were going to do, and we're going to do it within budget, as Dave says. And I felt pretty confident this is a team that really gets that, and they're going to do that. So they were all here talking to us, and I thought that was really good for anybody who, and they're engaging the groups who helped provide input originally. So we've got wrestling folks and all these kinds of people, not just staff, but they're community members that are providing input on this, and I think that's so important going forward. So I think that I came away from that feeling good about this. As Stacy said, we've been entrusted with a lot of money here, and I think this is going to, costs are an issue right now, but I think we're going to make it work. So.
Yeah, and I don't want to lose sight of the other projects that are on the list, right? We saw pictures of, just a small percentage of what the projects that we'll be completing. So there's a lot of other behind-the-scenes work that's happening for planning the projects at the middle school and West Side and Greenwood and all of those. So we just don't have great photos or, stuff to share with that, but that's all happening as well, so.
It's probably well for the community to understand, too, that our architect, they're experts in K-12 education, and so that they know best practices for space in order to be conducive to learning. And I think that was very evident. They had some creative solutions for us.
They did.
And it was exciting to see.
Yeah, and they're keeping us on schedule really well. One of the goals is to get out ahead of other K-12s that are going to be bidding, and so trying to maximize what kind of pricing we might get on a lot of these projects. So they're helping us with that as well.
Anything else? Right now we are ready for Dee and Mark. I know that you'll all be disappointed if I don't highlight that these are cooperative agreements that we enter into. So this is important for us to recognize that we do it. So if you could explain them, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there we go. So yeah, as Stacy mentioned, these are some long-standing agreements between both UWRF Preschool and Ellsworth and Prescott that we've done for a number of different years. Really, the only thing that changes is sometimes the percentages of the contracts that we share and also the enrollment in our Project Search program. Again, this is something that we could not do the Project Search program alone if we didn't have kind of some community partners and some people that participated with us as well. So taking the first one, the shared paracost as far as the UWRF program, again, this is something we've done for a number of years. It allows us to staff that program with a special education para who helps with kind of the education for the students that we place over there. So really, this is just a way we split the cost of that paraprofessional for the hours that they spend at the UWRF preschool, and then we just split that down the middle and share that cost. So again, this is something we've done for a number of years. I would recommend that we continue to do this.
Could you, some people might not be as familiar with Project Search, and it's worth putting a spotlight on that.
Take action on the first one and then.
Yeah, do you
Or do you
want
want
me
to
to?
give the background? Did you plan to come back
I
to
was going to
Search?
come back to
Okay.
5E once we covered
All right.
5D.
Then Allison's already made the motion. Thank you. Okay. Any questions or comments about the hearing impaired teacher? All right, I'll need a roll call. Monica? Bo?
Aye.
Allison? Ellen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And I'm saying aye, so that motion has carried. Thank you. And now we can talk about search. Did I make a?
D, we acted on page before. So we acted on
Yeah.
this one.
But the,
Now we'll act on,
okay,
sorry, I just want to make sure. Does that make sense?
yes, all right.
Okay, so
I'm discombobulated tonight, I guess.
yes.
That was the motion.
Okay, yep.
Yeah,
And
and
we
my
are
fault, I
past
was
that. Yep.
kind of doing
Okay.
all of them at the same time.
Okay.
5E is also two long-standing agreements that we have had. The first with our deaf and hard of hearing teacher. Again, a district our size really can't support a full-time DHH position by itself. And so we could try to go through CISA and say, hey, could you give us a 0.6 DHH teacher? That's going to cost a lot of money, and we don't have the same level of institutional control. And so what we do is we hire a full-time teacher, and then we contract out a portion of their salary to some of our neighbors. Again, that percentage fluctuates a little bit. Last year it was 10% to Ellsworth, 10% to Prescott. This year it will be 10% to Ellsworth and 15% to Prescott, just based on student enrollments. So again, I would recommend that program continues. It's a good kind of way to steward, taxpayer dollars, as well as give us a higher level of service. Certainly nothing against CISA. It's just it's in-house. So that's about the DHH. The other thing is a 66 agreement about Project Search. Project Search is a great program that we operate out of the River Falls Hospital. Essentially, we take students who are kind of in their 5th year of high school programming who need some vocational skills and supports. This coming year, we have 7 different interns coming from 4 of them are from River Falls, 1 from Ellsworth, 1 from Prescott, and we have 1 adult student through the adult system as well. So again, it's really a great program, and by partnering with our community members or our neighbors, it allows us to run that program. So students that go there spend some time working in a variety of different job settings. They learn vocational skills, and then the goal at the end of the thing is that they have competitive appointments within our community. So again, it's a wonderful program. Every year we have a graduation at the hospital. It's just a wonderful thing, and just want to shout out to Tasha Haram for a great program that she runs. So.
Thank you. All right, now we will take a motion for the 2 6630 agreements. So the first one for the teacher of hearing impaired students, and then Project Search. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Ellen. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Is that Monica? Okay. Any questions or comments?
Just one question. So how does the funding work for that? Where's the money coming from for this project? Project Search? Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, so the students that are most of the students that are part of the program are 5th year high school students. So we still get to count the students that are our residents in that program. So we get a certain amount of money from the government, from the states. We then apply that toward the program. But again, it's a fairly expensive program, so if we had 4 students or 3 students, we wouldn't be able to kind of financially run it. So we open it up to community or neighboring districts who will then send us their students as well. So again, we have 3 additional students coming in from, the Ellsworth area, the Prescott area, and then 1 kind of adult student as well.
So this is basically like students who didn't graduate in 4 years. They
Yep.
stay on an extra year, and we're providing them assistance with kind of finding their way in their path.
Yep, and these are all special education students. Yep.
Special kids, okay.
Yes, and
Okay,
so
gotcha.
they're students that kind of require that final year of programming as a way to
Programming,
kind of help
sure.
with that vocational.
Sure, and helping them get into
Yeah.
a good place. Okay,
Yep.
great.
This is a really good program, Mark, and I'm glad you're able to keep it going like this. It's very beneficial. I know the hospital really likes it, the community really likes it. It's been wonderful for those students, so it's good that we can continue to run this.
All right, we have a motion that's been moved and seconded. We will now do a roll call. Monica?
Aye.
Bo?
Aye.
Allison? Ellen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And I'm saying aye as well. All right. Thank you very much, Mark, not only for being here tonight, but for your work on these projects. They're important. All right, now, because Mike would be very disappointed if we didn't have more policies to discuss, we are looking at some in the 100 series. If you turn to look at the changes, they're relatively modest. We're making the changes to formatting, but we're also doing some things to keep these within conventions of policy writing. So wording, we're aligning everything to what we actually are doing. In some cases, there were a few shifts. We are talking about the school board rather than the Board of Education. And it's also well for all of us to have had this chance to review our policies because we have a lot of them, and this is a good way to remember what is going on. So, Dave, do you want to walk us
Sure.
through each one?
Yeah, so.
That we're looking at
yep,
today,
I'm
so
on
we'll start
page
with-
31
Yep.
of the packet. The first policy is school board member resignation. A lot of it is updating of wording. The one key item is that we added the language about when the resignation takes effect. And basically, it takes effect at the date indicated in the written resignation, if there is one. And if there isn't one, it would be the date indicated when it's received, sorry. Yep, so that's the piece with that one. It just helps to make sure we have the timing of when we would need to replace that board member. And some situations are different where someone can anticipate, hey, I'm going to resign, but it's going to be in a few months. Others, things come up and it's not like that, so we want to make sure we have a way to deal with that in both cases. So that's 132. Moving on to 141, which starts on page 32. This is related to school board officers and the duties of officers. And I would say the duties functionally, there's no change, no recommended changes to the duties. The one piece is, it said facsimile, and I think the way we do that now is electronic signature. So we added that language anywhere where facsimile was. And then it had said, except otherwise provided, and we did some research and we couldn't figure out what otherwise was provided, so we just got rid of that. 'Cause we don't know how it was otherwise provided, so we just cut that information. So that's 141, which covers page 32 and page 33. Page 34 is our school attorney, 142. Again, pretty close to the same. A couple of clarifications. One is that we don't have one attorney. We may use different attorneys at different law firms based on their area of expertise. So we might use a different law firm for general employment practices. That's different than special education. So we wanted to make sure that that was understood by the board and understood by policy that that's the case. And then just an understanding that there could be some element to a discussion of a closed session item with the school attorney. That's something that's covered under that. So that's 142, which is on page 34. And then the next one is 151, school board policy development, which is what we're engaging in now. And just making sure that the information of how we bring policy revisions to the board was updated, including the idea that a lot of these policies, but not all of these policies, will start in committee. And when they go to committee, that's not the first reading. So the committee is where there's lots of conversation that takes place, but the first reading is at the full board meeting. And then there's a first and second reading, and we don't need any further example than the last month, that it makes a lot of sense to have a first reading and a second reading. So unless there was some really extenuating circumstances in which we could enact a different policy, our practice and best practice is to always have a first reading and a second reading. So that's put in here as well, and really the policy isn't enacted until that second reading. So that is 151. And then 151.2 is a very small one. We even chatted like if we even need to have that. But we decided to keep it in there, and that's just policy dissemination, which just means that we will, and I'll make that adjustment to will, disseminate policies adopted on our website. And so we wouldn't just eliminate this policy, but we could have thought about embedding it in there, but it makes sense. So that one stays as well. So very small update there. And then the last one that we would want to talk about today is 151.3, which is administration in policy absences. So in cases where an emergency action must be taken and we don't have policy guidelines, the superintendent has the authority to act, and then the superintendent will communicate with the school board as soon as feasible and move forward with the development of a new policy. So that just kind of covers that piece where unanticipated things. We have a policy that covers the situation when we're in that, and then we move forward with communication with the board, so we're on the same page. So.
Great.
Any
All
questions
right.
on any of those?
Well, I think that at this point, I will ask for a motion to approve the first reading of all of these policies in the 100 series. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Allison. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ellen. Any further questions or comments?
Hey,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yep.
if all of our policies were the length of these that were written out, I can get on board with reviewing them all.
I'll work really hard on that, Mike.
Can't make that promise.
These are the easiest ones we're going to have, so. All right, anything else? Okay, Mike's already saying aye. He's wanting to jump on this. I'm saying aye. Ellen?
Aye.
Allison? Bo? Monica? All right, the motion is carried. Thank you to Dave for work on that, and we also need to recognize that Jamie did a lot of work on these before he left too, and left us with a good place to start. So, are there any proposed items for future board meeting agendas?
Lynette, you said you'd continue to give us updates, both at the committee meeting and the regular board meetings, I guess. Yeah, okay. About the referendum projects, yes.
And anytime we get pictures, that's good. Pictures are good. Yeah, we like pictures here.
Agreed.
Okay, anything else? All right, we will schedule the next meetings. The Educational Program Committee will meet on Monday, September 9th at 6 o'clock. Finance and Facilities will meet Monday, September 9th at 7 o'clock, or immediately following the Educational Program Committee. The annual meeting, also can be called the budget hearing, will be on Monday, September 16th at 6 o'clock at River Falls High School. The Personnel Committee will meet on Monday, September 23rd at 6 o'clock. And the regular board meeting will be Monday, September 30th at 7 o'clock. Please note the change in time. We are trying to accommodate difficult fall schedules. Other than the annual meeting that will be at the River Falls High School auditorium, all of these other meetings are going to be held here in the district office. And with that, everyone, the meeting